But this boat exists. It's a silent yacht, a solar powered. So I think
can you log into the room?
Room. I think we will wait a couple of minutes more, like 10, 15 maximum, to see how many people would join, because there is a problem with the front door. It was damaged by the wind. So the lady needs to stay and guide everybody in and on. And also, there was
You don't need your audio and you do not need your microphone. Just mute everything.
Yeah.
Then mute everything. Camera and speaker as well. The speaker of your system. And now share your screen. Just share your own screen. And put the meet room in the background. Just the whole desktop.
Yeah, I'm showing the Okay, and then I will put okay.
Did you say there was beer?
There will be beer.
There will be.
Not yet.
We will order pizza and for the pizza some beer.
Then just sending over the link to the meetup page and to the
Audio is working as well.
Nicht eingestellt.
One and I feel like it's like 23. Zucker. Irgendwie gesund. Damals, als wir Kinder waren, war das alles ganz interesting.
There have been already 2 minutes with no people coming in, so we can start discussing and counting ourselves to understand how many pizzas we order. I could eat like 3 now. I had no lunch. So I would say welcome to our next Ansible meetup. My name is Mihai Sadmaran. I'm organizing the meetups since almost 6 years. I've been helped by Yves here in the past. He was the co-organizer while working at VMware, I think, or before that. So it's a very nice community, and it's a big pleasure for me to manage the meetup here. And I always have the chance to meet new and exciting people. What happened here with this one particularly was a cascade of events that slided us into today. So we have no swag from Ansible because the confirmation of the spot was a bit late. So the swag comes from US. It takes 30 days, probably somewhere on the way, probably not. Next time we will have swag from Ansible. And also, the speakers were a little bit confused, and holidays, and well, I am a power user of Ansible and Molecule, so I had to be the fallback case, and I am the speaker today. And we also have a surprise speaker, but nobody knows who that is. So I would like us to do a brainstorming whom out of you guys can be a surprise speaker and like a stand-up discussion today, because we tend to give a format to the meetup in the following manner. We are trying to do the first talk, an easy, not complicated part about Ansible or whatever you can do with it, automate infrastructure as code, even DevOps in general. And the second one, we tend to go a little bit deeper into whatever topics we could go. And I think this one could be a more complex topic, Ansible with Molecule. So do you guys agree that we could, hi, please join. Do you guys agree that we could, see if there is any voluntary that wants to speak about Ansible or the experience with Ansible or whatever comes here, because to say it, I don't want to promote myself doing the meetups. I would like to promote the community and the community content. That's why also this is a replay. So these slides, not exactly in this, I improved them a bit, but they were also discussed in Singapore on 29th February by another person who I'm also mentioning in the slide. So we got the approval to run them, and I think it's an interesting topic, and we don't need to reinvent. I mean, we are consuming content created by other people's, by other persons, like Rose and Code and so on. And today we will also consume their presentation. So, anybody wants to share something about Ansible? Short talk, 15, 20 minutes.
Give them some time.
Half hour. You can do a round on the Coca-Colas, on the waters, and so on.
Give Peter some time to think about it.
We'll have beers, or we can just talk about, I don't know, Ansible. You can ask me questions, or I would like to have another participant to the.
But everybody's already glad that the other talk can be simpler and more basic than this one.
Yeah.
Going beyond this would be like a real challenge.
Yes.
And if we don't find anybody, we can just discuss.
Yeah, we can, roll the dice and whose number comes out.
A question: who is using SAP in his company? In your company, anybody? No, been talking, or do people using SAP? Okay,
Dying topic.
Yeah. No. If nobody is working with SAP, I don't need to talk about Ansible automation for SAP landscapes, which is actually my topic. I could talk about that day and night, but if there is nobody using SAP, it doesn't make much sense. Okay.
But I think before we dive into your talk, jump some logistics. Toilets, outside, right, left behind the cupboards, there is the toilet. So you see the storage for the Coca-Cola bottles and stuff like that, and then to the left there are the toilets. And I will order some pizza and beer, so I will need to know any vegetarian or vegan people here.
Vegetarian or vegan,
Both are fine. Okay, so it's only one person. Good. Two. Don't be shy. We can order.
Okay.
I will take care of that. More hungry or less hungry?
More.
No, in total.
Very hungry.
Yeah, hungry.
Very hungry. So I think around 30 people now. 30 larger pizzas, not the small ones. Okay. Good.
You can take the rest home.
Hmm?
You can take home the rest.
Yeah, definitely.
Nobody.
Okay. So I will order then. I think they will be here. They say something like 30 minutes. So
yeah. Okay.
I will do that. Okay. I will go out and order that. And as we said, also order
count me twice for pizzas.
Yeah.
And 5 cases of beer.
5.
No beer, actually, I'm on a dry month, so no alcohol for me this month.
The month is almost over.
Yes, that's true. Let's do it.
Okay, good.
Right. So I think we are 25, 26 in this room. Who wants to talk about Ansible? You want? You want him to talk about Ansible? How do you want to proceed the next half hour? What do we do here until the pizzas arrive?
I thought this will be the first talk about molecule, and then maybe there are lots of stuff.
I think molecule, it's heavy, to be honest. And I am a power user of Ansible and molecule, and we can consume 1 week talking about Ansible and molecule together and the way we can use it. I here have also a small demo. So it will be packed with information, and it will be intense. So this slide has, I don't remember exactly, but maybe 45 slides. And it has a lot of information. And after that, our minds will be like this. So I don't think easier content will come after that. So we have to start with water, beer, and then heavy wines. So we have water, now Ansible in general will be some beer, and then this will be the wine.
But Mihai, what you just said sounds like the audience will need a lunch break during your
Yes,
talk.
they will need a pizza break.
You can do the first half, and then we do a break, and then we are in good shape to do the rest.
We can ask some
Would be
questions.
an option.
So yeah, we can do that. But let me ask some questions before. So I'm always curious. I'm from Red Hat. I'm Peter Körner, usually focusing on SAP customer and all these landscapes. So I'm working a lot with Ansible for automating the migration to a modern landscape or to cloud or back to on-prem or RISE, whatever SAP is doing, we support that as well. And I'd like to know what Ansible topics you are working on. So maybe you can answer some questions. Who's working with Ansible for just infrastructure level? Okay, a few networking. Okay, one networking, secure, 2, 3. Okay, networking control. Any security related topics? So orchestrating security devices. Okay, not yet. Is anybody already playing with event-driven automation? Okay, I remember from last talk. Cool. Oh, that would be a nice recap or maybe summary.
What exactly?
Yeah, I know. I just remember your talk from last time. Yeah. What else we have? Latest and oh yeah, actually, who is using the Red Hat product Ansible automation platform or is working with it?
The free version AWS.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. That was my next question. Who is using AWX, the Unity project, or a few? Okay. Okay.
Peter, I'm not sure how you slice these categories. I mean, we do infrastructure, but the project is security related. And we do prototyping, but it then gets implemented on the Tower platform of our service provider.
Okay.
So I could always say yes to all your questions, or I could just be quiet because I personally don't do everything you just said. So it's a little bit weird for me.
Yeah, well, good comment. Well, we have an Ansible for security collection that is orchestrating security devices across the chain, or SIEM devices or intrusion detection management devices from various vendors, put them into a workflow, and so we can automatically react on security incidents and have this, let's say, automation, client isolation, protocol stuff, etc. So this is a security-related collection people are using more and more. But I see, of course, networking.
No, we're actually struggling with the security of the Linux machines.
Yeah.
And we don't have separate external devices.
Yeah.
Just cleaning that mess up.
Yeah.
It's grown over 30 years.
Well, maybe what I could do later, or maybe now, just a few slides. We have one customer, Bayersdorf, we all know. Nivea cream, sunscreen, everything like that. They had a nice approach to bring Ansible automation inside the company. They started in centralized IT, and now, so they have so many business units and silos and teams, and they came up with a little idea how to bring in Ansible automation across all these silos into the teams and get people involved, because they do use the automation platform, where you can have workflows, you can have your own registry assets, collect them, combine them, and create kind of a library of roles and playbooks to combine them together. And
I think this gives me
interesting.
A couple of next questions for the audience, because you brought me into a place. How many of you guys are using Ansible at work? Like, okay.
Many.
Good, like more than half. How many are using Ansible in your hobbies?
The same people.
It's a good overlap. Actually, I have to be honest. I'm using all my hobbies into my work, so I don't think I've ever worked a day in my life. So I could do this on and on, but yeah, I'm also using Ansible for my hobbies and for my work. So how many of you guys are using it in an enterprise grade, like really, like he's describing a big company with multiple.
Plus minus.
Okay. Because here will be some challenges that you don't address it with Ansible, but you address it with the ecosystem. You address it with the versioning system. You address it with the CI/CD. You address it with the Ansible Tower or automation in this case. You address it with more things. So I think I saw 5 or 6 hands up in a corporate or enterprise environment. Then I think you have an audience here.
Yeah, good. Just this was a little bit ad hoc.
No way. You want to talk about something else until you?
No, I'm almost ready. If you could maybe stop sharing and just let people see the meeting room screen, I can share my screen. I just found a presentation that's okay to use. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's not a long one, just a little intro. Actually, it's a presentation we had at an IT online conference in September or October, I think, last year. Can you see something already? I shared my screen. No, can you? Don't I share? Are you sure you're online?
Yes.
Now we have a
delay.
A delay. Okay.
Very small.
Why? Is this the YouTube link you're showing?
I don't know.
Huh.
Is there anybody from IT here?
Yeah. No. Are you sharing?
Mental role for that.
Yes.
No, that's okay.
Turn it off and on again.
No, that's good. Yeah. Okay. So let me click through that. So actually, it was a presentation at an IT online conference. Focus was also a lot of SAP people. But it's interesting as I get many questions when I'm working with customers and partners, and we all love Ansible. We use it to automate everything. We play at home, so it's nice. And we have customers that understand what the platform is as a product, because you can scale up to enterprise grade, connect thousands of clients, and get kind of a foundation you can rely on. But then it's not the role of a central IT to automate the whole company. You probably have 2,000 applications. You have so many departments. You have subsidiaries worldwide. So it's not easy to really bring it into scale. And Beiersdorf had a nice approach. And let me show you what they showed me. So some slides had been presented by Beiersdorf. So maybe not my content I presented, but I think I'm able to talk about it. So I switch to the next slide now.
It was 10 seconds in advance.
That's a long delay. Okay. So the speaker was talking about what they do. So
this is predictable.
Yeah. Nivea or Beiersdorf has a lot of brands. Probably we don't even know all of them, but some like Tesa, it's also part of Beiersdorf. We know Nivea and all the others. So it's a huge, complex environment. Basically, it was not just one centralized IT in all the time. So they had made acquisitions, of course, and they have still separate devices and separate environments, networking domains. So it's a very complex setup. And so automation makes sense. And I think what we also learned is, they have about 170 subsidiaries to orchestrate and manage. 20,000 employees means a lot of devices to orchestrate back-end services and hundreds of applications. And so the IT, the central IT is, well, what they say, change IT, love IT, love IT, change lead love. So nice strategy for them. And they have a number of challenges as well, like most companies do have. So they have many processes, manual processes, lengthy processes you can understand or probably imagine. So ordering a new piece of infrastructure could take a while, is a long process, and manual work involved. They have these efficiency issues. Means lots of let's say breaks in a process, manual interaction, and probably no end-to-end automation. Skilled people is one thing. So we have this Fachkräftemangel at Bayersdorf as well. So you cannot just hire more people to accelerate the process. You have to think about automation, and they have a lot of silos. And silos is something I'm confronted with a lot because I work in the SAP space, and SAP used to be a big silo, isolated from everything, and it needs to be integrated more and more. Otherwise, you cannot modernize SAP landscape. So I know that working with silos is complex, and so they decided to go for Ansible for reasons I think most of us understand. There is no big need to explain why we like Ansible, and they made a company-wide decision to invest into.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't like that. No.
And so the idea was really to leverage the benefit of Ansible from within a company view across all these silos and environments. So all good reasons to buy Ansible, to get a full support training. So we are helping them to build up the platform, to orchestrate. We help them to educate people. That's all good. But still, you have not automated anything yet. And so what could you do to get these people included or involved? And they did some basic stuff we probably all would do, like talk about the platform, describe what capabilities you have, train people. But one interesting thing is they founded a community, like an open source project inside Bayersdorf. Yeah. So just create a community, do it like we are all aware of from open source projects, that people participate, contribute as they like. They even defined roles within this community. We know from a community project as well. Good. So they created new roles like a community architect and lead, responsible for setting up the community, orchestrating that. They created a role like a sponsor and strategist, communicating to the management team of Bayersdorf. Automation consulting engineers, really doing, let's say, strategic work, create architectures behind the automation, creating guidelines, so be a champion for automation, and the so-called onboarder. That's a cool role. So this is a person that really goes into these different departments, talking about automation challenges and helping them, giving a hand. Oh, I can't do it for you. I start with you, but I have no clue of your process, but I know how to automate and what we have as a template, and I can start with you. And this was quite successful. So they really collected different ideas of automation, helped them build modules, created roles, collected playbooks, and even created workflows, and created kind of a library or of assets to automate. And in this case, at Bayersdorf, they started with looking inside Bayersdorf for filling these roles. So they volunteered people and find them. And I think they also had nominated people and gave them dedicated free time to do so. So building up kind of a center of excellence for automation, collected all these information and value from the people, the silos and the teams, and really started to bring that to life. And now there's a huge Bayersdorf community now, playing around with Ansible, meeting, giving presentations. They have fun inside the company. And the good thing is IT was not owning all these automation, it just orchestrated the people. And it was a quite nice approach. So they had lots of use cases. The basic one they started with. So we see in the next 4 seconds, I believe. Now? 2 more. Some use cases they started to work on. That takes a while. I don't know why. Yeah. Okay. So it started with server management, OS patching. We know that day 2 operations stuff. Go to networking, a little bit what you mentioned before. Yeah. So starting with all that, but went into the SAP device or the SAP teams as well. And this was quite nice, where we got involved from the SAP team. Automating SAP, everybody has done that before. It's nothing new, but if you want to do that with Ansible, you get way more flexibility. It could be agnostic. You can do the automation for a same on-prem version versus an Azure-based, AWS-based, SAP environment. You can, what's cool, you can create kind of instant POCs. You can create a complete SAP stack in 25 minutes. as a self-service in your portal using Tower or automation platform. Maybe connect to your networking devices, load test data, and this is kind of accelerating the whole innovation. And so people start to understand the value of automation, not just from the playbook, but from the business value.
Yeah.
So, and they, yeah, I think carried on working on that quite nice. And the last slide I have from Microsoft is a little bit of lessons learned. So how did they do that? And I think one major point was management support and sponsorship.
Yeah.
Go to your management. Maybe you could ask us to help to explain the value of Ansible beyond just a playbook, and get management support to get funding and get people dedicated free time, let them play with that as well, and not just have the idea. So having the executive support on the top right was key. Also, the structured approach helped them to launch Ansible automation platform, means AAP globally. See all the benefits, defining governance and ownership, as you see, defining the roles, and have it really on an enterprise grade level. So if you do that and position automation as key strategic for your company, it should be 24/7, high availability, fully supported, and then it makes sense to have it as an asset in the company. Yeah, that was quite nice. Let me see if I have more. Let me just flip through that. Oh, no, I think that was it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the rest was just talking about our SAP automation. Yeah? I have to show that slide. Can you see it? One last slide. Because if you're working in companies working with SAP, you will see that typical idea we are talking about. So automation for SAP is really including SAP as part of the strategy for automation, starting with the technical ones, the deployment of SAP landscapes, but really open up to go to multiple domains, have a service catalog, go to self-services, let people deploy their own SAP landscape for developers themselves, is such a big innovation step. They have never seen that before, up to end-to-end automation. Including
it's all on-prem?
Sorry?
It's all on-prem?
No, you can switch. You can have a parameter like, oh, I want to have this HANA, let's say HANA, a medium-sized database with this data and this application server on AWS now. And Ansible will do that. Or maybe in a specific region or whatever. So we do that, and customers do that a lot. And we are working with, with customers that have 1,200 SAP systems. And this means not 1,200 VMs. It could mean 2,000 nodes. It's a huge landscape, and it's such a mess, to be honest. So it helps a lot to get that structured. Yeah. And if you may handle such big environments, you make so many mistakes. So Ansible, if not speeding up the process, make sure it's always the same. It's in a certified way. It's not something different. So configuration drifts, everything like that needs to be addressed and could be addressed by Ansible. So here we see big business. Maybe last comment, if you go to the SAP team and explain the value of automation, they can pay for the whole project. Yeah. Because it's business critical. They always have budget. Yeah. They don't care 1 more million. It has to work. Yeah. But that was my kind of ad hoc idea talking about Ansible.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You guys, you know Peter, he's really passionate about what he's doing. He's also representing Freifunk.
Oh, yeah.
In Munich, so you can tell us a few words about that.
Yeah.
People don't know about Freifunk, but it's a community free internet thingy, as I understand it, right?
Yeah. Well, who knows Freifunk in Munich? Yeah. Oh, we have 40,000 people connecting every day to Freifunk nodes. I think 1,800 nodes. In cafes, places, refugee camps, everything.
Yeah. So what I wanted to point out is that he's not only profit. He's really passionate about what he's doing. So his role as Red Hat is really doing it very nice. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I can also concur with what he said because at Dassault, my previous employer, we did exactly that. What he said, Dassault Systems, it's a big European global company. It's I think 22,000 employees, and we did exactly that. I was the technical lead of the internal IT automation. So we started exactly like this. We started with one role, with one thing. We shared with another team and so on. And in the end, I was having access to more than 500 Linux DevOps engineers that would contribute to our platform. So it became something really, really massive. So if you guys at your work think that you would benefit from such talks that we do at Ansible and so on, and you want to convince management or something, you can ask us to organize an Ansible meetup at your place. We will do it. There is free of charge. I mean, I'm doing this voluntarily, so I'm not getting any profit on that. But just as an idea, if you guys need to present it or to show it to somebody officially, we can organize it because we are happy to drive this thing. I mean, I like Ansible because how it was written, how it was conceived, what it was done with it. I know lately I know also Michael Dehan personally, so the guy who originally wrote Ansible. He also started another effort called JetWatch. It was a Rust rewrite of some Ansible concepts, but he abandoned it apparently. So yeah, that was the message I wanted to convey after Peter's talk. Thank you very much, Peter. Do we have an estimation for the pizza?
25 minutes.
25 minutes. Okay. Then do you guys need a break? 5 minutes, water, something? No? Okay. Which brings me to the talk about molecule, because it was a good introduction from Peter that we discussed about SAP and very complex stuff happens. And then I will start my presentation and we will have a break, pizzas, beers, whatever, and then we continue. Agree? Okay. Let's see if we have seconds or minutes delay. I hope not.
That's okay.
So this presentation, as I was saying, was first presented in Singapore on 29 February. And what we will discuss today? Today we will discuss about money, but not directly. What is the importance of testing the automation code? Because here we are talking about testing automation code. So whom here writes playbooks? Okay. Whom writes roles? Okay. Whom writes collections? Okay. Who writes custom modules? Okay. Right.
Very knowledgeable person.
So
You should hear the talk.
he did, but he will probably register for another one.
Sure.
Right. So it is very important for us to be able to test this content because it gets complex. So you're writing a playbook, you're running it, it's repeatable whatsoever, it's good. You're writing a role, you run it, but it starts to get messy with a lot of testing. Like we have different angles of testing. We have syntax, we have idempotency, we have logic, we have things. You can have roles that create stuff and delete stuff, and then the order of creation and the order of deletion is not exactly reversing the creation and you get to delete it. So we get into complex stuff. So that's why we need to test the automation code. And we will talk also about the options available to us to test Ansible content, because also people that are very creative there. We will understand what is molecule and how it helps. We will learn and also see how we can test with Ansible molecule. And then we will discuss together some typical scenarios about that. And well, who am I? I am this guy. I was this guy, I'm not this guy. I'm focusing on Ansible and automation and infrastructure as code. After many years in the fields, at any scale and everywhere I could get in tech, I now slowly turn into management position. So I'm a fractional CTO for a movie studio in US. It's called Meetup. I am working in Munich since 12 years. I was initially working as IT director for a movie studio, VFX studio Trickster. Then I went on to a company called RTT, which was acquired by a company called Dassault Systems, and who from you saw the movie Office Space. You remember there were two guys asking everybody what you're doing here, and those guys came to me after the company was acquired and asked me what I'm doing there. And I thought, these guys are the guys who are going to fire me, because I was in my probation 1 month. So I was the only Linux guy in 700 plus Windows people. I didn't quite understood what they want from me. But instead they said, like, how do you plan to implement Linux here? And I started drawing, and so I said, oh my God, stop. Come to Paris and show us how you plan to do it. And from there onwards, I became the technical lead for the internal automation project. I did that for 6 years. So then last year, I co-founded Skylight Tech, which is a technology company which helps film projects to deliver their infrastructure. The background here is that in 2020, together with one friend and former colleague at Trickster, we started in Spain, in Canary Islands, the first ever full-blown visual studio on the cloud. So we did it for like 6 months on Amazon Cloud. And after that, we had been successful, so that worked. So I specialized in helping film projects or other type of projects to migrate sensitive infrastructure and high workloads to the cloud. Since then, everybody's doing it. So I think some people in this room already know about it. But yeah, Skylight Tech wants to help this. If you do a search, 14,000 results. So I'm there. So I don't need to say too much about me. It's not about me. It's who is he? So this guy, Ginesh, is the author of this slideshow. And he works for Red Hat in Singapore. And he was the guy who made this. He is also very serious about automation, and probably he knows way a lot more than I know. So we give him credit for this. He also writes stuff, so yeah. And I let this in here. Why? Because it's important. It is related, and it has a video here. So when I'm publishing the slides, you guys can see what he meant there. Why Ansible? So we all know why we like Ansible, but we just say it again. So it's simple, powerful, and agentless. It has a big community getting contribution. And here's the trick. In the film industry, you need to do everything quick, cheap, and high quality. So how do you do that? Well, Ansible helps here because we have this healthy concept that we can use open source tooling with paid support. So really, you start with Ansible, you do whatever you do, you play at the lottery, you get millionaire, and you don't care about the project anymore. So those guys are, in big problem, but they can always go to Red Hat, say, this lunatic wrote some stuff here. Can you understand what is this? Yes, it's Ansible. We can take it over. Thank you very much. So this is the topic where you see that you can be a risk for your project. So you can get hit by a bus. I don't like this version, but I play the lottery. So sometimes I'm going to get this. Yeah. So it's a huge contribution platform. And then We have the enterprise hardened platform. It's with Red Hat, and it has a lot of perks. I don't go into detail here. But the question is, why should I test my Ansible content? And we should test it. Why?
Because we break stuff.
We break stuff. So we have a nice saying in DevOps or in automation, mistakes are for beginners. We can produce catastrophes. So yeah, if you don't have an insurance, there is one, you can do it. Because yeah, you can delete a lot of stuff from your customer and they will not like it. So they will not have any means to get it back. But we need testing because we want to run the automation confidently. How many of you guys found a playbook that you wrote a couple of years ago and was hesitant to run it again? So I was too. So I closed some stuff on my PC now that I was like, oh my God, nobody has to see this. But as soon as you put some testing in, you get more confident. So risk mitigation is also a very good reason why we should test. And there is also another concept, developers. Remember this guy, developers. So they're a special breed, developers. I'm coming from a first sysadmin, hobbyist, then tester, then developer, then whatever. So I can call myself a developer, but not all the sysadmins, network guys, or whatever who starts writing scripts and code and whatever they call themselves developers. They speak a dialect of developing, but they are not considering themselves developers. Because why? The developers use a different tool set. So developers know that they need versioning, they need some things, and the sysadmin said, like, I don't know what this Git wants from me. Why is commit? Why is push? Why? So it's complicated. We need testing. Anybody who tests his Ansible? Okay, one person. I'm pretty sure I can find another one.
I test in production.
Oh, that's very good. That's the way to go. So the importance of testing Ansible content is, yeah, we want to see that the code, the playbook, modules, plugins, is clean to use in the environment. Which environment? So what is an environment? I think everybody here can use more than one environment. One is production. So we can also ensure that best practices are followed while developing. What practices? We have syntax. We have all kinds of angles we can use here. Then we need to ensure the functionality is not broken due to the code changes. Why would we change code? I think we had, as sysadmins, this saying, don't ever run a changing system. But these days, we are running an ever-changing system. So you put it on your cloud, it's changing. You can't have any saying on it. The guys are building libraries, the other guys are building the cloud, and you maintain your playbooks. And from one day to another, your playbook will not run. Why? They changed something. What? We don't know. So we need to test. And
changed something.
So?
Ansible changed something.
Ansible changed something. So yes, to ensure the collaboration is happening in the right way. That's why we are becoming also some sort of developers, more than the NetSecOps, whatever we called. We have to treat Ansible content like a software code. We have to test it, we have to scan it, we have to clean it. So that's healthy maintenance of our code. Questions so far? Okay. We have Ansible test. I'm not going to go in details, but this is something that we can use to test. It has some parameters. What else we can use? Ansible playbook syntax check. Ansible playbook check. Ansible lint. So whom of you had used Molecule until now? Okay. Whom of you had used Molecule until version 6? All right. So there was a change. In Molecule, before the version 6, the linter was part of the molecule suite. I will make a pause here about the test tools, and I will give you a short history of molecule. Molecule started sometimes, I don't remember exactly, 2013, 14, 15, as a community project. And its goal was to abstract the infrastructure away from the developer. So if you need to test something, Molecule will build the infrastructure for you, and it will test the code there. So that was the reason. Slowly, everybody was using Molecule, and at some point, Ansible project adopted Molecule as their core functionality, and now Molecule is part of Ansible. And now we also have Ansible Navigator. Who uses Ansible Navigator? Good. Ansible Navigator is a good thing. So we will not go in detail there, but look it up. It's good for you. It will help you. Yeah, now it's the dashing spinning wheel means that we wait more. Then we have this guy who had heard about Lightspeed. Oh.
Is that the small web UI thingy, or is that something else?
No, this is IBM Watson telling you how your code should look like by the hints that you give it. So if you look here, you just type include Red Hat system and he makes the rest for you. So you see, you put the tasks there, and then you invoke this guy, and he will transform your comments in code. It's a very interesting stuff. But I guess you need a subscription for that.
A license from IBM.
A license, yeah. But it is there, so it's really an awesome tool. But is this enough? No, it's not enough. So when we were talking about Molecule, we were talking about the pain to create, maintain, and destroy an environment. So let's take Peter's example, an SAP deployment. It takes 25 minutes with those playbooks, but I think it took weeks before the automation started, like really, literally weeks. So if you need to test something just quickly and then destroy the environment, weeks of how many people we don't know, of how much resources and so on. So just to try out some things would be in the thousands of euros, if not more. So that's why I said we talk about money, because testing gets some stuff cheaper in the sense that it would be more quality. So testing Ansible content with Molecule will ensure that we have consistent, repeatable testing, so we can do test-driven development on Ansible playbooks. We can include it in a continuous integration as part of a pipeline, and we can run it on diverse environments. And what I'm saying here is that you can write an Ansible playbook and run it in the same time on a Docker container, on a Vagrant image, on an AWS cloud, or the list can go on. So in the same time, that is the power of the Molecule, what it gives us. You have one line and you just add their targets, like where do you want this to run, and it will run them. But it will also manage the environments for you, like if there are instances, if there are containers, if there are Vagrant VMs, if they are AWS, whatnot. So this it does. After that, it can also test the instances, but this testing is different. This testing, and I will show you in the demo, and I will explain more of it. It is like a third-party testing framework connecting again to the resource that you managed, and you can write your own tests to see if the resources are managed or the configuration is correctly applied. I will show you later. Our test will be, we write a file on the disk, and then the testing framework will go separately as another playbook on the disk and will check if the file is there. But of course, it can be very complex. Yeah, testing Ansible content with Molecule can be used as a command line. I will just show you the command line version, but it can be run inside a container. Molecule is built also into an image by the Ansible Creator Execution Environment Project. Long name. And yeah. What I just said with many words. So I will talk a little bit about drivers. Molecule had the concept of drivers, which means that it knew how to manage particular providers like Docker, it's a driver. Vagrant, it's a driver. EC2, it's a driver. Anything, it's a driver. But that was until version 6. Since version 6, Molecule only has one driver, which is Ansible, and it's called default. So what that means is little had changed. Before, the drivers were also written as playbooks of Ansible, but just managed in a different way, like the location on the disk or in a different way. But Molecule insists that you write everything as Ansible playbooks. So even the stuff that creates your infrastructure, however complex or simpler it is, it's still an Ansible playbook. So Molecule invokes Ansible when it runs. It's kind of inception.
Who tests the testers?
Yes. So, but then we have scenarios. And here the scenarios are important because you can have multiple scenarios and every scenario can do the same thing. So for example, I will show you later, we create a role and we will have a scenario. Every time we start with default in Molecule, so we will have a default scenario, but you can add, I use it like this. I use it Molecule AWS, Molecule Google, Molecule Docker, Molecule, I don't know, Azure, and when you run it, you can choose the scenario to run against, or you can run against all the scenarios at once. So we have scenarios. Then we have some sequences. So initially they had like 4 or 5 sequences, and now I think they have like, I don't know, 12. But you will understand what sequences is because it abstracts away what happens. You just see the stuff tested and then it goes away. One thing to keep in mind is that Molecule, at any warning, it will stop, delete everything it's done, clean up, and finish. So it will make sure that you really have working code and all the stages that you enable or you disable, because all the stages are by default enabled in Molecule, but you can disable some of them until you get it right. So, and then we have these verifiers. We have Ansible, we have also Test Infra, we have Ghost, we have some other frameworks. So you can choose your framework. Right now, the preferred test verifiers is also Ansible. So here, what I see as a value, and I also did that in all the companies that I had to work with, I tried to write everything with Ansible. So if you do something, there was no Python, no Bash, no Terraform, nothing, Ansible. Because why? If you get good with Ansible, you can write a lot of things, even if it's like cumbersome at sometimes, but Ansible can do almost all things. So then if you have your drivers with Ansible, if you have your playbooks with Ansible, if you have your verifiers with Ansible, you stay in the same scope of technology. You don't need Terraform specialists to write I don't know what, so you can run your, Ansible content or AWS or whatnot. So I think for me it was a valid point. I don't know for you guys. So, questions so far? Molecule is not new, as I said, but something changed. What changed? You have official Red Hat support. So you can use Ansible syntax for provisioning. Yes, instead of Python stuff. It's easier to use to extend molecule. Then it's also better suited for collections, because we have this collection concept not long ago introduced. I mean, long ago, but not long ago. And molecule can test also collections. So yeah, you can. And molecule 6 is also available for whomever has access to Red Hat. Okay. So we can install molecule with pip. And this is how you would run it. Molecule init. You can make a role directly, and you can choose a driver. So yeah, this is how you would do it, and it does this. It does this this structure: molecule, default, conversion molecule. It has more if you put more parameters, but it creates a folder called molecule inside your role or collection, and it uses it as a point in the folder in the files to refer to it. So if you are trying to run molecule from other place, it will complain. So you need to run it from the role root folder.
Are there any version dependencies, or why do you always install latest?
So you
never see version numbers with pip install.
No, but actually we do fix the version of molecule sometimes in some projects which are sensitive to changes, because molecule also brings changes to how it handles cloud providers and other things. So basically, it's a good practice not to use latest, or it's best practice not to use latest. But here for the demo, we don't fix it, but it is possible to fix, and you can have a chair from the hallway, and so it is best practice to use versions, but you will find this later in testing.
I think one really nice thing you can do is you can have a dependency management to update everything.
Yes.
And if the tests pass on the newer version of molecule, it can merge the changes yourself.
Yeah.
Because the problem is if you have a lot of developers, none of them want to do maintenance on the code. It's it's boring work.
Yeah.
So if you have molecule update itself automatically and only send you an email if the update fails, that's one real nice way. You can get rid of this. So you pin the dependency to a working one, but then it just upgrades itself if the tests pass on the new version.
Yeah. So there are quite advanced ways that you can use molecule, and we will talk about them. So the key concepts are, as I was saying already, a scenario. So this is like the phrase says it, a customizable and modular sequence of test steps. So a scenario. What is nice about this molecule code is that it's committed to the versioning system together with the role. So you can maintain it too, like the molecule. And then you can use the init scenario to initialize a new scenario, because when you are creating a role and you are initializing the role with molecule or with whatever you want, you get just a default scenario. So if you want to add scenarios, you can use the init scenario command. You can also, you define the ephemeral test environment based on the drivers. So you can use a variety of drivers. You can even write your own. So what we did, we wrote our own driver, which is a Kubernetes driver. So we have some Kubernetes application, and we create the cluster every time we want to test. So we create the cluster, we test, we destroy the cluster. So you can also do a lot of complex management with that. So you can test the roles by developing your own functional tests. So there is no standard test. There are content out there, but yeah, most of the time you write your test based on what you need. And very important, Ansible, it's an idempotent tool. Anybody has unclarities what idempotent is? Okay, so And it does also syntax checks. So it's very important. Molecule will run the playbook twice. So if your playbook is not idempotent, it will show you. So this is the typical molecule run. And the command, as we see there, is molecule test. So when you type that, it will first check the dependencies. It will then create the environment, infrastructure, whatever you have there. It will converge. Converge, it means Ansible playbook. So it will run your playbook for you. It will verify. That means it will run the verifier that you wrote. And then it will idempotence test, or it will converge again. So to speak, it will run again the playbook. It will do the cleanup of whatever temp files is there, and it will destroy the environment. So maybe this is a good point to have a break before I can answer some questions. No questions?
How does it test the situation where, let's say, you've got a role that's written, it's been tested, everything works fine, and you'd like to run, you now have a new version, and you'd like to test it on top of something that's deployed with the previous situation. Do you understand what I mean?
I think, yeah.
You've deployed something with version A, and now you want to run, you want to deploy version B, and you want to make sure that it works not only on a completely clean system, but also on something that you previously deployed.
Yes, so I think we can simplify it in a way that molecule can use those verifiers, right? So if your role creates artifact A, so your first version of the role creates artifact A, does the second version of your role creates artifact A or creates artifact B? Because this is the difference. If it creates artifact A, the role will run, molecule will test, artifact A will be there, so there is no problem. But if it will create artifact B, and you still need artifact A, you need to extend your tests too. So you will instruct molecule check artifact A because it's from the previous role, then check artifact B because it's from the current version. And then you need to find a way to phase out artifact A if need so, because the new run of the role will not need it. Does this answer somehow your question?
Not exactly, no, but I'm not sure how to.
I think I know what you're getting at. So, like, for example, you have an app, and it might have database migrations in the next version of the role, and you have to verify this. I've had that once where someone asked me to implement something like this, and the prepare step.
I was going there. Because there are some steps we didn't discuss here, but there are like 12 possible steps.
Okay.
And some of them, because here, if you are testing the migration automation itself, it means that you can always get back to instance one, like you have a snapshot or whatever. Then you write your migration code, and you want to test it with molecules, so we have the same role, but does something new now, and it expects to have content already at the target. So if you're saying let's upgrade a database server, then in the role you can have this prepare. So you upgrade the server first, and then you run the SQL things to upgrade the database, and then you run the test to test the new things that they are there. So is this closer to what you're
Yeah.
Okay. So other questions? Yes.
Thank you for your talk. Does idempotence include converge as well to get verified?
So converge is run twice actually. Idempotence is another converge.
And why it's so important to do twice, like non-deterministic stuff?
Most of the time, modules in Ansible are idempotent, but in playbooks you have freestyle. You can put commands or things like that, and the commands cannot be predicted. Like you can say, I don't know, a 2 pages command, shell command. Nobody knows what it's supposed to do, not even molecule. But you can have some syntax for that command to be treated as idempotent or not. So that's why the result of complex scripts, which you can embed in your playbook, cannot be considered important.
One more question. So you mentioned some solution from IBM Watson for test generation. Have you tried other generic models, maybe open source or?
Me myself, yes. Yes.
What works? What doesn't? For test or Ansible?
Oh, everything works for Ansible up to the point where it doesn't work anymore. So it needs human supervision.
Yeah, but maybe you think something works better. Maybe you use feedback like, hey, this is error.
So I would not want to advertise other technologies than Ansible, but we can talk about it in the networking session. Okay. Pizza or? Sure.
Does molecule have some state information or something else?
Yes, very good question. So I like to look about Ansible and Terraform as being quite similar, except the state file. Terraform has a state file, very important for Terraform. Ansible doesn't have it because it doesn't care. You can dynamically discover everything. Terraform just very, very late has this discovery and is not complete. I haven't used it in a while, but if you would have a very, very complex SAP environment, I'm pretty sure Terraform will not be able to discover it and add it as a state for you. So Molecule does have a state file, and you are responsible of managing it. There are examples on how the state file would be, but in essence, it's an Ansible inventory. So when you create your infrastructure, you have the possibility to write this inventory. I will show you how it looks like. And basically, yes, you write it and you maintain it. And it starts from simple: host, port, password, key, whatever, and it can be very complex. It supports all the Ansible variables or whatever. So we have a state file. Cool. Pizza?
Pizza's not yet here, it's only the beer.
Beer?
Large package, so he needs to drive twice. just a couple more minutes, he will be back.
More Ansible, more molecule, huh? All right. Then this is how actually a test looks like. So we can discuss about Ansible testing in the pipeline. Molecule can be, and we use it heavily in the pipelines actually. So we can run it. You can do test driven on your command line, which is nice to progress up to some point. But when you have a state that you are happy with, you can share like a minimum viable product or minimum functionality or whatsoever. From this point onwards, you are starting a collaboration. You don't want to frustrate your collaborators with bad commits. So you can add molecule to your CI/CD. Then, of course, you can have OpenShift, GitHub Actions, Jenkins, GitLab CI/CD, Tecton, other customizations. Whom of you uses OpenShift pipes? GitHub Actions?
A little bit.
Okay. Jenkins? Oh, open source stuff. GitLab? Okay. Tecton? I've never heard about Tecton.
It's OpenShift pipelines, basically.
Okay. Yeah, but the free version. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here we can also see the whole concept of automating, like beyond molecule. I think this is just molecule is just a block in the way we can test our content. So we have this here. But yeah, this is also a little bit more towards Ansible automation platform. I think it can be replicated in the free version, but as he asked, I don't have a replacement for Lightspeed for the time being. You could use ChatGPT, all kind of things. The problem with ChatGPT and the likes that I have is that they try to create stuff because they are generative. So it implies that even if they don't know something, they will claim that they know and they will tell you something because that's their purpose, to just say something or display. So the way I use it is it needs a comparison. So I always run it in 2 or 3 loops. I say, give me an example on how to write a file with Ansible. It will give me an example. I don't even consider that. I'm asking it again, check this example if it does what it has to do, because then the AI has an anchor point what to check. So it will check and it will give you a better response. If you're not happy with the response, because this you can do in an automated way, you can use APIs and you can use, your own creativity. It will write you the good thing in the file, but then you need to test if that's really the good thing or not. So you cannot really do it without human supervision to some point. Lightspeed, on the other hand, it's a thing that exists for many years, and a ton of engineers and people and data guys are there. So at some point, they get better than us with some API handling. So yeah, to cover a bit.
So you're using self-reflection.
We are using everything we can to do the job. Yes, we are using self-reflection. But we are also using agents with invoking various personalities. So you can, pass the conversation from one to another. Like I would ask here in this room, what's the best way to use molecule? And somebody will say something, and then everybody will contribute to that. And this way, we also use a lot of agents, like different ones. Pizza time or demo time?
Das ist die erste Hälfte, ne? Weil wir
So I will do a little demo. I prepared in advance, so I don't think it will fail. But let's see. Right. Is the font big enough?
Zoom in.
You're missing part of the terminal.
Yeah. So just the left side of the terminal, a bit of the terminal. Maybe all right.
Yeah, I don't know how to make it better. Because it's my window manager.
I can't see everything, so it's just the projector. Yeah.
I think it's just a projector.
Yeah, just don't go full screen, just
drag
it
move the window
close to the edges.
Center the window. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect.
So. All right. So I will. I'll make this folder. And I have written a scenario script, like what I would do. So basically, I can initialize a role. I already have molecule installed in Ansible and all these things. So now I have a demo role created. And we can see the structure. As I was telling you, it just creates a lot of stuff for you. And it creates compliant role structure, because now Galaxy has a compliance gateway, so you have to be compliant. But our role does nothing, so it's empty. But it has a molecule structure, and the molecule structure has the default scenario. Remember, you guys, we talked about scenarios, so we can do multiple scenarios if we want. And it implements the creation of the infrastructure. So since it's done with Ansible, it looks like this, and this is actually the content that goes into the state file. So you asked about the state file. This is how you write your state file. So in the end, you will have a state file with this mode written into your home folder, molecule, config, whatever the name of the role is. So you will have a structure. If you have multiple roles, it will create a structure for every role, and it will maintain states there. But the information, you are managing it, what goes into the state file. And also molecule YAML, it's very important because this is how molecule is informed of what you're doing. Like we have dependency named Galaxy, so if you include requirements YAML files like you would for your project in Ansible Tower or Automate or whatever, this will also treat that. It will bring the dependency here somewhere. Then the driver name, it's called delegated. Delegated previously meant that you implement your own driver. Now it's the default driver in Molecule. There is no other driver, it's just delegated, but it needs a placeholder, so it's called delegated. Then platforms. Here you are writing, if you have VMs, you would call one after the other platforms. The provisioner, it's Ansible, can only be Ansible. And the verifier, it's Ansible, but it can be test infra, GOS, whatever. So this is one scenario. In one scenario, you can have more. You can have more than one instance. You can have thousands, hundreds. I don't know. They can be whatever type of the driver you are using. If your driver implements Docker, you can have as many Dockers if you want. If your driver implements Kubernetes, you will have Kubernetes. So I will go also in the verifier. So basically, the verifier is something that you write, and it passes. When this guy doesn't pass, the molecule will destroy all the environment and will return failure. So if you are using it in the CI/CD, your CI/CD will fail. Then you can capture why it failed, and then you can go crazy on that. This is just a placeholder. There is nothing to install. And we have the destroy. So basically, the destroy will read the instance configuration, like the state file, as it's called, the instance config, will read it and will kill everything there. What I can do is molecule list, because I'm in the role, and you see it shows me that it's supposed to have 2 instances. None of them is created, none of them is converged. If I go here in the molecule and I add another instance, it will list it here. So that's kind of the desired inventory, and then the state file will be the inventory. If I run now molecule test, there's not much to test, but it will try doing stuff. And you see, it runs against all the instances, which are imaginary instances because it will just run against itself. But my script says that I should add something in the task. So here. So we will just print something. So what will happen is I ran molecule test. So everything's fine. You can see the convert, like first is the converge. It printed this, and then the idempotence. It runs again the converge, and then it says, yeah, everything was fine. And then the verifier comes, but the verifier is defaulting to true, so it just runs, so everything is okay. What I did in order to make it more real, I also said, let's write a file. So we will create a file on my disk and we will check what happens. So I'm saying molecule test, and bam, it's not working. We have a problem. It cannot connect via SSH. So what I will do is try to shortcut the connection and use a local connection. Molecule can work with your, let's say, console that you have opened there. So now we see it did. So then I should have test file. So it's there. And it's written today, this minute. But idempotence failed. So somebody asked about idempotence, how it can fail. I think it was you. So it failed. Why? Because every time we are touching this file, we are changing its timestamp. So then it's changed. It's not stays the same. So in my demo script, I say, you know what? I will change this, and we will do first a check if the file exists, and if it. Oh wait, that's not what I need to do. Actually, I need to do this. Sorry. So we are registered the state code, and if the file doesn't exist, we are creating it. And let's run this. Okay. So looks like it worked. All the instances didn't fail, but our verifier only has a hard-coded true value. It doesn't check anything. So in my script, I also have a verifier, and we can add it here. So basically, what we are doing, we are trying to see if the test file is there, and if yes, will fail or not. We use the assert because that when it breaks, the exit code will issue a CI/CD failure too. So let's try now like this, and what happens is the verifier needs to be able to connect to check. So most of the time, you can instruct the verifier to use the SSH connection that was used to create the resources or manage the resources. So the file exists. There is a thing that you can run the stages independently. So I can just run the verifier. So then what I can do can remove the file and run the verifier. So assuming that role worked, and you need to test if, see, it failed. So the file is not there. Yeah, that was my demo. Thank you.
Still not all pizza is there, but I think we can already start.
Okay.
So 8 more pizzas coming, couple minutes, because he needs to go back and forth. He was only one driver. But I think else they become cold.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Let's get started. I will put it on the demo page, and then we will continue with some chat after. And
okay. Thank you.
there are 2 more slides or something like that. Oh.
I ordered 2 vegan and 2 vegetarian. I don't know if they are already there. You need.
Yes.
A question regarding state.
State.
Sometimes you don't have state.
Yes.
Can you test that as well?
Yeah, you have to write your Ansible playbook in a way that mimics idempotent. So, for example, if you are calling a script or a command, Ansible now, since a long time, but it's not very utilized, it has fail when, changed when, so it has some parameters where you can influence the output of that command. So you can tweak it in a way that the output is always the same, even that a script does some, unpredictable changes. So does this answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Other question? Sure.
Maybe one question regarding the example. Consider I have a playbook with 3 tasks.
Yes.
And every task is appending a line at the end of the file.
Yes.
Will this be considered as a failure in the verifier, or because it always appends, so it always changes things, so it's technically not idempotent. How this is visible in molecule?
Depends.
Okay.
If you are writing it with line in file, Ansible module, it's idempotent. But also when you write your verifier, you need to understand what are you testing? So if you are testing all 3 lines, or if you are testing the existence of the first line and the second line and the third line. So it's about how you implement the verifier. But it can be implemented in a way to follow your test, your implementation.
He said in the question that the line is added every single time. So it's not line in file where you check if the line is present. You just add. So every time you run it, you have a line more. So it's
put it at the end always. Yeah, every task is put the change at the end.
Line in file does that. So you don't need to check whether that exists. You can say insert at end of file. Line in file module has this. But I'm not arguing about. So the easy answer is if you are using Ansible module, that's idempotent. So you can write a verifier for it. If you're using a command, a shell, or whatever else, then it's questionable, but you still can write a verifier because you are not verifying, you're verifying 2 things. You are verifying the truth, like is this thing on the disk, and also you can verify your sequence, like what are you verifying? After the 3 tasks, each add a line at the end of the file, the verifier could just ask, are there 3 lines? Yes, it's good. So depends on how you write your verifier. Or you can ask, are the 3 lines? Yes. Is the containing 1? Yes. Is the second containing 2? Yes. Because you can go empty. You can read the line and check it with what you planned. You rewrite your playbook in a way, but it will test. You need to test it. It is possible this way. You can write your test. Is the line there and contains this? No. Write the line and then it will work. Just to exemplify test driven.
Yeah, I'm just asking because I'm running quite frequently in these issues. And I have to change a file frequently, and when I rerun the playbook, I always change it, but in the end, there can be change. So that's the difference. But
also look what you have there in this task of writing a file frequently. There is no change. You can make a bigger construction there, and you can, do some checks. And because also the line in file module has an exit code, and you can retain the code, and you can do until, or you can do all kinds of things at the end of the execution if you register the result. To the register the result of the previous task, you can do things like we can talk privately about it because actually we are also abusing Ansible in many ways. So it's not. Yeah. Okay. Questions?
Thanks.
Feedback. Did you like this meetup?
Yes.
Was it informative for you guys?
Yes.
All right. Should we organize more?
Yes.
Okay. That is good.
Who wants to talk and host it?
Exactly. Who wants to talk and who wants to host it? If you don't have to answer right now, but we are looking continuously for venues to do the talks and for talks. So we have some people that already did talks here in the audience. We have some people that plan to do a talk in autumn or sometimes, but we need something in between as well. I would like to do normally 6 Ansible meetups per year. I think this year we are a bit late, but we can still do 3-4 more. So if you guys have a need for a talk or a venue or a sponsor or you just want to chat in the meetup group on LinkedIn or let's keep in touch and organize more. Hope you enjoyed it and the pizza was good and we can stay around for networking until 10 o'clock. But if you want to climb to the 11th floor, we need to register at the door because of the fire. So they need to know who died. By name. So don't climb there. 10 o'clock is the last.
Because
hour.
then the alarm will go on.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, guys. I will then close.
So, thank you very much for your engagement. Always a pleasure talking. I have a nice bottle of wine. You know what it is.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So, it's not for free. You can talk for something.
It's pretty good wine.
Yeah, he knows it.
I get it. No, you know it? No. You know it.
Excellent one. Okay, then I will terminate screen sharing.
So it's red wine because of the red hat.
So right.
Peter, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we have time for other questions?
Yes.
Oh God, I do my best. Let me stop the stream.
Yes.
Do we have time for other questions?
Yes. We are networking now.
It's
You can
not
ask
10 o'clock.
anything.
It's just 20 past 8, so we have more than an hour.